It's good to have you back. Now, the National Energy Regulator has approved 3 generation licenses for Powership South Africa. The Powership provider has been granted licenses for Saldanha Bay, Cougar and Richards Bay. However, it still needs to secure further authorizations before its ships will be allowed to connect to the grid. So let's discuss this now with energy expert Mr. Ted Blom, who joins me now for this discussion. Mr. Blom, thank you for your time and good morning to you. I think first of all, let's try and just understand this. I mean, we know that OUTA has accused NERSA of, avoiding giving reasons as to why they approve these generation licenses to Powership SA. But what do these licenses actually entail for context?
Was for 20-year licenses for the gas-powered Powership generators in Richards Bay, Cougar and Saldanha Bay. And they were put out just under 2,000 megawatts, which is 2 levels of load shedding. It seems to me that NERSA has been disregarding public interest for quite a while. And the basis on which I say that is that they seem to have fallen into the pattern of making decisions and then taking a long time, up to 30 days or even longer, to make the reasons for those decisions known. And that just puts undue pressure on anybody who wants to question the rationality of those decisions. So this is not something that's new. I mean, we experienced that a couple of years ago when NERSA increased the tariff of Eskom without giving reasons before the implementation date. And when we went to court, one of the arguments was that you can't unscramble the egg. It's a foregone conclusion. And that is absolute nonsense. That could not have been the intention of the legislator when they created NERSA. And the second thing is that, there seems to have been a lot of pressure on NERSA to grant these licenses. There was, at the previous NERSA hearing, there was a dissension as to whether this license was technically competent, in that there were a lot of unticked boxes, and there's still a lot of unticked boxes. And one of the unticked boxes is the uncertainty of the actual delivery price of this electricity. Now, in the last month, gas prices in Europe have increased more than 4-fold. And if that same type of scenario is brought to bear on South Africans, it will kill our economy. We cannot pay 4-fold. I mean, we already have the same corrupt, disaster situation with the solar and wind IPPs from bid window 1, which was hailed as the world winning formula. But the only people who were hailing that were the participants who got corrupted prices of over 5 Rand a kilowatt hour. And it seems to me we're heading the same way with this Powership.
Yeah, so how does then Powership generate its electricity?
So they're going to use gas, and they will then burn the gas in gas turbines, which are based on top of the ships. So that's one of the benefits, is that it should theoretically be a fast solution. And typically this market, the seaborne generation market, has always catered to emergency situations. And it's done so in a number of countries, including in Africa, in Kenya and Lebanon and so on. You'll remember Lebanon, they had that big explosion. But the emergency cannot endure for longer than 3 to 5 years. If this Powership deal gets cemented in for 20 years, besides holding us hostage and then taking the assets that we've dearly paid for away at the end of 20 years, the fact of the matter is, it just shows to the incompetency of this government, this ANC-led government, if they admit that we have a 20-year crisis on our hands and not a 3 to 5 year crisis on our hands.
Yeah, Mr. Blom, it also seems that Powership still needs to obtain quite a number of other authorizations before they can even connect to the grid. What are those authorizations that they need, and why do they still need to go through that process?
Okay, so the operating environment in South Africa has become a lot more complex in the last 20-odd years. One of the approvals that they need to get is an EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment approval. That has been declined by the Department of Environmental Affairs. based on a whole lot of objections, including that the fish are going to be disturbed. I'm not quite sure how that works in a harbour. And then the second application that is critical for car power ships is a gas license, because they're only buying gas, they're not using their own gas. And there are certain implications as far as the gas license is concerned. But let me just get back to this car power ship deal. I don't have a problem with the fact that I'm technology agnostic as to whether we use gas or coal or whatever. And there's a lot of noise from a lot of sectors because they are being paid off by their interest groups to use their technology. For instance, the renewable industry. There are a lot of people that are paid hands and making a lot of noise about the fact that this is fossil fuel. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with carbon dioxide. And if anybody wants to challenge me, I'm quite up to the fight. But what I do have a big problem with is that this car power ship company comes tainted to the table. They've been found to have paid bribes in other countries. And penalties have been imposed on them, and the behaviour, the governance, and leaves a lot to be desired.
All right.
And that's what that's my main gripe about this car power ship deal. Is firstly, it's far too long.
Right.
We shouldn't have a longer than 5-year crisis. And secondly, the issue of bribery and corruption, which just continues in this country of ours.
We have to leave it there. And thank you so much for speaking to us. That's, of course, Ted Blom, energy expert, talking to us more about the car Powership SA deal. Of course, we understand NERSA has approved those generation licenses to this company.